Okay, writers, we've gone over what types of reports you might write, broadly sort of conceived for this final project, and it's wide open, as we said. And now the key element, and this is project, like I said, is worth a lot of points, is how do you put together this writing portfolio? When we're on campus, I project the portfolio on the screen, we go over it, I take questions from the students, we spend quite a bit of time going over it. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So in the project number 3 folder, you'll see there's a writing portfolio shell. And you click on that and it should download. You should be able to click on it and download this Microsoft Word document. It's just a standard Microsoft Word DOC document that you should be able to open. And then you're going to be able to sort of complete the portfolio. And the basic concept here, so I've opened this document. It's just a Microsoft Word document. And the basic concept is that you scroll through this thing, right? It has, at the very top, when you submit this portfolio at the very end of the course, at the very top is going to be your best writing. It's going to be the final, polished, perfect, wonderful culmination of all your work in the course, this final report. You're going to put together a proposal. You're going to spend next several weeks on this, next couple weeks on this anyway, and it appears at the top, ready to be graded. It's worth 200 points in its final format, right? That's it. That's the best thing you've got. It goes at the top of the portfolio. At the very bottom of the portfolio is where it all sort of starts out. And so you'll see that there is a grading sheet. So there's a formula here. This is a rubric. And when you complete the portfolio, these are the points that are at stake. So there's a section that has to do with your scholarship, your annotation that appears near the top of the portfolio. That's worth up to 25 points. There's, it probably would actually work better to start at the bottom of the portfolio, same way that the grading template or the rubric here does. Planning and drafting prior to workshop, see all the items here that are at stake for up to 25 points of this portfolio. The brainstorming, the proposal, all this stuff that you put together, the early drafts, the rough drafts, all that material that gets put in there prior to workshop. Then you have your workshop draft, a plan of revision, and other things I'm going to go over in just a second here. But there's this workshop component. That's worth 20 points. And then you have a lot of emphasis on revision. So we're going to see what sort of drafts you do after workshop, what sort of changes you make. There's language in here that really tries to specify what qualifies as substantial revision. And then, like I said, there's this section on this describe and document your scholarship. Because remember, in this final report, it says use adequate evidence to achieve your goals. So there's not a minimum number of sources in your final paper, but in your portfolio, you do have a minimum requirement of some research that you're required to do. Okay? We'll go over that in just a second. So let's say we're at the very beginning of this process. You're just thinking of potential things you might want to write about. Let's say you want to do a proposal. You decide to do a proposal for your hometown or something like that. Maybe your hometown needs to come up with a youth center or something like that to keep the kids busy during the summer. I don't know. You put together kind of a proposal. So you're brainstorming ideas. You put your invention and research. Some of this can actually come from exercises in the book, from the forum activity that we're doing for today. You put some of your brainstorming activities, just thinking outside. Put anything you want in the portfolio. You want the portfolio to reflect that you've done a lot of work, a lot of writing. You can't put too much writing in the portfolio. You want all to go in there. So document it, save your portfolio, keep saving it, keep extra copies. All this writing is supposed to sort of illustrate the earliest inception of your idea and ideas to what you finally choose to present as a formal proposal. So then you go through the process, and this is what you will submit on Friday. You will complete your portfolio up through the proposal. You will tell me what you're going to be writing about. You'll be telling me what you perceive as the requirements of the assignment, the kind of report you'll be doing, your purpose and audience, and you'll submit this. And then I'll take a look at it, and if it looks good, we'll have approval and we'll go forward. Then you start doing your planning and research. And I'm not telling you how to do this. I mean, you might just start drafting. You might do whatever. you just need to start putting some material. You don't wait till the last minute. You're working on this. You're putting together materials. You're gathering information, whatever it is. You're maybe some people have included in this in portfolios. They've included pictures of their drafting activities, maybe interviews with people, whatever the material is that goes into your early drafts, that goes into your research, that goes into your work. This is what goes on before a workshop. Then when we get to workshop next week, at the end of next week and then the beginning of our last week, you will post your workshop draft and you'll cut and paste the comments from your classmates in response to the drafts that you posted. And then there's this plan of revision that you fill out after your workshop, and it asks you to just 3 simple questions: what's working, what's not working, what do you plan to fix? Then what do you think comes next? Well, your revised drafts after workshop. Now we are in a compressed schedule this summer. Normally this would be about 4 weeks of time. It's about 2 weeks for us, 2-3 weeks. But we want to see some evolving drafts. We want to see revisions. We want you to number your drafts, tell me which drafts they are, put dates on them, whatever, to distinguish. And hopefully we'll see quite a bit of improvement of your draft from workshop. You will get a grade. I will grade your rough draft. And by the time we get to the top of the paper, you'll submit this perfect, well, I don't know if it'd be perfect, but your best representation of your work at the very top. And the only other thing that is part of this is this minimum requirement of sources. You're required to include all the sources that you've consulted while researching the subject, whether you use them in your final draft or not. And there's a minimum number of 5, I think, in the handout that you need to sort of cite here. Okay, but they don't have to appear in your final draft. That's just the requirement for the bibliography. Okay, so far so good. Just fill this thing out, make extra copies. You want it to be a really fully fleshed out, really detailed, really developed sort of portfolio of your writing. So let's take a look at some successful writing portfolios and report types from the last couple semesters. So here are some sample papers from students. Okay, the most recent one I have is from last spring. I had a student who she did a business proposal, and Fee just came up with this idea of a gaming center in Shattern. Look, we don't even know if this is a feasible sort of Dave and Buster sort of thing for Shattern, but it was fun. It was a funny thing. She followed formats. She came up with some business plans. She looked at business plans that were available online. I posted some resources for people who want to do business plans that might be useful, and she basically followed that format. And as you can see, she has a carefully sort of produced document. She had some fun with it. She came up with her own logo. She made up people, famous people that were part of her board. This is not an actual picture. This is a picture that she said a possible look for inside Chihuahua. So this is the kind of thing that you can do. It doesn't have to be a dreary, unfun thing. It can be something that's actually interesting and useful in your day-to-day life. Your design elements, your approach, if you can make a justification for how this addresses your particular business environment or audience, I mean, a business plan is generally put together to try and recruit people to either invest in your business or to take to a bank and show, hey, please give us a loan. You think about these types of audiences, it's going to shift a little bit about the tone. And so that's the purpose of a business plan. And you'll see that she takes us through this process. And this is all still her final draft at the very top. And then you'll just notice that she has, throughout the rest of the portfolio, she's fleshed it out. She completed her annotated bibliography fully for all the sources that she used. She has numbered her drafts. She has about 3 drafts after workshop. And she includes her earliest drafting. She took pictures of her notes and everything like that. See how you can do this? Just flesh this out as fully as you can. She filled out her plan of revision. So a really successful proposal. Let's take a look at another one. This was a portfolio from spring of 2016. Maria did a final portfolio on reports on food insecurity in the United States, more of a technical report. She's following sort of a more formal report outline here. You'll notice that the portfolio is slightly different for that year because we changed some things on the portfolio, but the general principle remains. She has a very fully annotated bibliography. Let's go all the way to the bottom. We look at where her proposal first began, right? She's got some brainstorming ideas here. Then she's got her fully fleshed out proposal. And then she starts producing drafts and brainstorming, eventually getting to a workshop draft. You'll notice that she posts a lot of comments from her classmates from the workshop. So look at all these people were giving her feedback. This is all information from her classmates. And she includes all that information, and then she fills out her plan of revision fully, right? And then we see in her drafts what she did to actually revise her paper. Pretty straightforward, right? Here's another example. This is a general report, sort of a technical report on just some general ideas related to eyes and macular degeneration and different types of eye diseases. Okay, and you'll see that basically the same format is being followed here. Annotated bibliography, drafts, rough drafts, invention and brainstorming. None of these are necessarily perfect, but they are all right in that 50 to 100 page length. They're all fairly well detailed. They show the evolution of the draft. I'm not so much into the rules and restrictions here. I just want you to come up with a great project that you take forward. I want to see you work on it from an idea phase. I want to see it evolve. I want it to see it fit its purpose and audience. I want it to see it have the proper amount of research. I just want to see the work evolve and really show what you've been able to do in a final culminating project. And that's the goal. And that's how a research portfolio is put together. If you have any questions at all, or if you're curious about potential topics that may or may not work, that you want to email me that before you submit the formal proposal on Friday, I'm totally down with that. Let's be in communication here in the last couple weeks. Students fall off the radar here when they don't keep up with the work. You're being asked to do a little bit more independent activity here. Please be in touch if you have any questions at all. I'm looking forward to these reports. I think given what we've been doing so far on the course, we're going to have some interesting stuff. So let's get at it.